All right. Hi, peace to everyone. Welcome back actually to another live with me, Hanifa Nayela. Today is going to be a very interesting topic. I am so glad to see all of you guys here. I'm going to go ahead and let me just shift this out. Sorry, in Zinga. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I am gonna go through my comments real quickly. I know Inya, peace to you. Thank you for coming. Who else we have here? Daryl, bless up. Bless up. Thank you for being here. We have Genesis. Mwah. Always, always. Um, who else? We have underground. Peace, sis. Oh, we have Colette. Yes. She said, hey, sis, this is going to be over the top. Oh, yeah. Thank you for being here. This is a much needed conversation. So I see all the ladies, and I know it's probably going to be a bunch of ladies in the house this time because this is specifically for us. If there are men that want to, add their input, I am open to that as well. Maybe they have an angle on how they see it. We have Keisha. Yes, Keisha Washington. Peace and blessings, family. Peace to you. All right, just do it. Peace, sir. Salute to you. Respect always. Who do we have? Angela. Good afternoon, Sister Nzinga. Thanks for the invite. Yes, we're glad to have you here. I'm looking forward to you guys' input. Peace, my ad, as usual. Love to you, sis. 100 watts. Thank you for showing up and thank you for the support. Yes. Who else do we have? Marilyn Shaw. Much needed discussion. I agree. I agree. I agree. So I just want to let you guys know we have two ladies. Um. Oh man. Wait. We have Danique. Peace. Peace to you. Thank you for always showing up and supporting. 100 watts, you makes me smile every time you say this. Man, you guys have no idea how much love I have for y'all 100 watts. Trust me. But I wanted to let you guys know before we get started that we have Tawana. She'll be joining us shortly. She's running a little bit behind. I saw they wanted to get someone from the YouTube space and then someone outside of the YouTube space. And this is Miss Nzinga here. To have this conversation. So she'll be here shortly, but we're definitely gonna go ahead and make sure we get started on our topic. And so our topic today is we can all win. Now, we ask everyone in the chat section to be respectful at all times. We have moderators. If you are not, you will be paused and then eventually blocked if you continue. We respect people in this space. I don't even feel like I need to say that because I think most people know me and how I am. But just some rules that we don't disrespect each other in the chat section. Also, at some point in the conversation, I am going to drop the link. And that link, if you want to come in and come up, some of you guys may be driving, so you're not able to, whatever that is. If you just want to come to on the stage and add to the conversation, at some point you'll have the opportunity to do so. But we can see your comments. I will be going through comments and highlighting them as well. Let me see. Any more ground rules before we get started? All right. Let me see. No one else. All right. It's in Zinga. How are you, sis?
I feel wonderful. I feel wonderful. And I'm so blessed and honored that you have me on the show today. I think the work that you do is amazing.
Thank you.
So, I'm always honored to be able to contribute, my experience with my sisters and whoever else that I, am able to, share that with. So thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So I'm gonna get in. Hey Mika, thank you so much. Yes, yes. Make sure that you guys no, let me just put it out there. Make sure you guys subscribe, like, share. Um, if you're in the room and you have not dusted off your feet before entering my house, dusting off your feet here would be hitting the like button. Okay. If you have not dusted off your feet before you entered my house, please go back out and do so and then come on back in and let's have the conversation. So let me get into why we are here today, why this conversation is so important. So to give some background, I have worked in spaces with you know, what I consider sort of male dominated spaces. I've been in those environments, and that's like more environments than less, actually, that women find themselves in, where men are maybe leading in some capacity, and the women are kind of like in there working together. And then I also just recently, about maybe over a month ago, entered into the YouTube space, and I was just observing some things. At first, it was more so I was just consuming. So I'm just an observer and just watching. And one of the things that stood out for me that I realized on a lot of panels where there's a mixture of men and women, that oftentimes the women end up being pitted against each other without realizing that's what's happening, right? And I'm on the outside, of course, looking in. And now that I'm on YouTube and I'm on, panels and so forth, shout out to Conversations with King as well. That's a panel that I am on every Tuesday. So you guys can check them out as well. But I want to make sure that the panel, what got me started in the YouTube space is that panel on Conversations with King. So I want to give, credit where credit is due. But what I was realizing is I'm watching this and I'm like, maybe because I'm on the outside looking in, how do these women not see what's happening? Right? Like, what is, and it would always be, whether it's in the comment section or it's actually being said on stage, it would be conversations around, oh, well, she's smarter than her, right? Or, she looks better than her. The most common one in YouTube is there's a comparison of who is more feminine and who is not. This is a new conversation for me. Okay, so who is more feminine and who is not, right? And more than I would like, I would see the woman either don't say anything or actually just take it in, right? And just let it happen. And so I was like, I started having a conversation behind closed doors with women. And I'm like, we have to have this conversation. So that's sort of what triggered me to have this particular title and to bring these ladies on to have this conversation. So I'm going to start by first allowing Nzinga to introduce herself to you, who she is, what she does, and how she thinks she can contribute to this conversation. So go ahead, Nzinga.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I got to remember, just to let y'all know, give y'all a quick disclaimer behind the scenes stuff. I got to remember to look at the camera because, on a computer, I'm looking at the host. But if you see me looking down, that's because I'm looking at the host on a computer. But my name is Nzinga Amazulu. I am currently getting a certification for life coaching. I've always had a desire to be of assistance and helping people and just uplifting and motivating and inspiring and just basically like just telling my story of my life story, as well as all of the information that I've learned along my way, being able to just share that. I currently do a Wednesday morning motivational call where people just call in, men and women just call in, and we just look for ways and topics to inspire each other. We're in a world where there's a lot of negativity going on, whether it's social media, is just in the world in general, workplaces, family situations. And so I wanted to create a platform that will allow us to have some motivation, some inspiration, some information, because I'm a fond believer that when we can allow the information to come into our lives, it helps us to not be ignorant to so many different things, such as this topic tonight. We're talking about sisterhood and the toxicities and the pitfalls that we tend to find ourselves in. But I understand that if we equipped ourselves with the information that we need, it can oftentimes help us and prevent us from making the same mistakes that other women made along their journey, but just equipped us in general with not making the same mistakes. So I think that was all you asked. I'm not sure if I completed that question, but basically that's who I am. That's what I do. That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And so what I want to begin with is I just want to go in and you can do this in the audience as well if you're looking, just in your own words, Nzinga, define what sisterhood is. And the reason why I say define that is because when sisterhood is spoken about on this in the YouTube streets, it's usually more like a negative thing. They see it as women who don't hold other women accountable. it's just, you're just joining forces and you just allow each other to get away with anything. And it's interesting because that's not how I understand sisterhood, right? And that's not the sisterhood that I participate in. So I'm just like, where is this definition coming from? And perhaps maybe that's something else, and maybe we are lacking the vocabulary to define it appropriately, to define what we are perceiving, what we're experiencing appropriately, because that
Yeah.
happens sometimes we don't
Mhm.
have the vocabulary, and so what happens is we end up hijacking certain words and redefining them to fit whatever we want. So in
Mhm.
your own words, can you define sisterhood?
Well, I would first like to start off by saying that I remember an elder mama that I had a conversation with once before, and I was explaining the same thing to her about, how I hear the word, sisterhood, and when I hear the word sisterhood, sometimes people define it in these negative connotations. And what she said to me was, she said that there's no way that we can ever use the word sisterhood and it has anything negative to do with it. So if we using negative words to define sister, and when I say negative, I mean like anything that's not like, sacred and uplifting and empowering, you know what I mean? Then it is the epitome of sisterhood. So we can't even give it that label. But when I think about sisterhood, I think about a safe place. I think about a sanctuary. I think about sacredness when I think about sisterhood. If I had to define, or if I had to share a few adjectives that would go along with that, I would say, of course, accountability. That's how we grow. That's not nothing wrong with accountability. It's how we do it. It's how we go about, holding our sisters accountable. I
Mhm.
would use descriptions or adjectives like, nurturing, um, um, nourishing, to our spirits. Sisterhood for me has been nourishing for me. It has nourished me and nurtured me to be the woman that I am today. It was my sisters who helped me with that. I take no credit. It was my sisters. um, um, of course, I said accountability is growth, is empowerment, is allowing us to have a safe place for one another. It's allowing us to hold space for one another. So when I think about sisterhood, I think about a sanctuary. I think about a safe place. I think about a sacred place. That's what I think about. And
Yeah.
that would be my definition.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, and that's a good definition because I feel like that's very similar to mine.
Yeah,
I'm just sort of like, you can't have sisterhood without accountability,
of
right?
course.
That is
Absolutely.
important, right? That's how we, like you said, that's how we grow, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of how we evolve as women. And one of the things that I did realize is that I this is my interpretation when people say, sisterhood in a negative way. I think what oftentimes happen is that I feel like, and this is not a male
Yeah.
conversation, but
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes men expect women to deal with other women the same way that they would, and we
Exactly.
don't deal with each other like that, right? And I
Mhm.
think I had spoke on this before. I gave the example of saying, if you as my sister did something wrong, right, and now you are dealing with the consequences of that wrong decision, I will console you because you are hurting because of the
Mhm.
consequences.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean I don't look and say, so what have you learned now? Because you got yourself in this
Mhm.
position.
Mhm.
But if you're crying, I'm probably going to cry with you. Okay. If you need a
Mhm.
hug, I'm
Yeah.
probably
Mhm.
going to hug you because that is our nature
Mhm.
as women.
Mhm.
We are nurturers. That is what we do.
Yes.
Right. So I think that sometimes
Yeah.
men are like, oh, y'all don't hold each other accountable because we're not publicly shaming, we're not like casting people
Mhm.
out, we're not canceling people
Mhm.
over minute things, and I'm like, but you got to think of women in parenting relationships.
Yeah.
Think about that dynamic with how men and women function in those dynamics around the children.
Yeah.
Even though your child is doing something wrong, we step in and we might still give them a hug. I know
Yeah.
in my
Of
home,
course. Mhm.
I
Uh-huh.
know
We
in my
do.
house it
Yeah.
happens because his dad would be like, "No, that's what he get," and I'm like, "Oh, you're hurt." And I'm
Yeah.
going to hug him and say, well, you
Yeah.
know, you cannot stand on the crate, but I'm still hugging him. So
Yeah.
that's sort of
Mhm.
what comes to my mind. And I'm like, we're not
Mhm.
men. We're not going to handle each other like men. You know what
Yes,
I
of
mean?
course. Of
So
course.
thank you for that definition. My next question is, around what age did you begin to understand this idea of sisterhood? Because, and the reason why I asked that is
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of us are late in the game.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Yeah.
we didn't learn this. I mean, we had like a best friend or something like that, but like true, genuine, the
Mhm.
spiritual part of sisterhood, I feel like a lot of us get that much later. So at what age did you begin to understand this idea of sisterhood?
Ooh, that's a great question. I told you, you just, oh my goodness. So if I had to say, like you said, when I was younger, um, I definitely had my biological sister, and that was my baby. We did everything together. But and so I didn't know what that was that her and I shared necessarily. But in hindsight, I would say we definitely shared some levels of elementary, sisterhood, but in consciousness, in terms of really fully understanding and grasping
Mm-hmm.
what sisterhood was, what it meant in its expression, I would have to say I was about maybe like 24, around
Oh,
like
okay.
24. I had just came into a African centered organization, and prior to coming into this organization, I had no idea about what sisterhood was. I came in with my junk, from the world.
Yes.
My perception of what how I was supposed to be and show up in the world. And I quickly learned that no, that's not how we show up here. That's not what we do in this sisterhood. So I had to quickly learn, like, okay, all right, and reprogram myself from the idea of what I thought sisterhood was. So if I had to say what age I was and when I began to understand the idea of sisterhood, it would definitely be around maybe like the 24-year mark for me.
Why do you think it's so late for a lot of us? I'm just building on this
You know,
question at this point.
you know what? I think that is because it's not something that is glorified.
Yeah.
Like I said, coming up to prior to coming to 24, I was in environments where, it was always a lot of competition. It was always a lot of cattiness. It was always the thing of I can't trust another woman. I don't have a lot of women friends, and I was one of them.
Yes.
Like I had a whole bunch of guy friends. I didn't really have a whole bunch of woman friends, female friends, and I was the one who went along with that way of thinking. So it's not something that's glorified. It's not something that's that's that people get excited about, that people
Yeah.
talk about. There's
Yeah.
conversations around. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So of course it's not something that people gonna typically gravitate to because it's not something that people it is not even on the radar of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to move on to my next question. So, what are some ways that you've seen where women constantly compare themselves with each other? Now, I know for me personally, it's not even, it's always attached to beauty.
Mhm.
Always. I mean, whether it's vying for
Mhm.
male attention,
Mhm.
so you're trying to one up another
Mhm.
woman.
Mhm.
And here's what I think, right? And this is I'm sure other people share
Yeah.
this theory as well. I think a part of it is it's not an innate thing because people try to say women are innately jealous. No.
Mhm.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you what it is. We are still in survival mode.
Mhm.
When I say that,
Mhm.
I I mean that okay, you got to really consider that there was a time, right, that our existence, our access to resources depended on what? On men.
Mhm.
Okay, so and men are very much about what? The visible.
Mhm.
Okay, so then
Mhm.
now it becomes a thing of a survival thing. I need to make sure that I can be married,
Mhm.
so Nzinga
Mm.
becomes my competition so that
Mhm.
I can get access to the resources that I need.
Oh, you answered the question, sis. That's it. You
Yeah.
know what I
So
mean?
and so what that is now it's passed down generation. And even though today women can actually go out there and get things for themselves and so
Yeah.
forth, we're still in that mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like we observe Black people in general, we are doing a lot of, we have a lot of maladaptive behaviors as Black
Mhm.
people. We are still in survival mode in a lot of ways,
Yep.
including the way we eat and all of these things. Like the stuff that our ancestors had to eat out of sheer survival is turned into a cuisine. And as sick as it is for us, we still build community around those dishes as if we're still surviving in that sense, right? So it's
Yep.
no different for me. I'm just like, this is connected. It's not a biological, it's not an innate thing. It is a learned behavior. It's a
Mhm.
maladaptive behavior that we've inherited over the generations. So women are constantly in competition
Mhm.
with each other, and
Mhm.
it's always rooted in beauty. So you could go ahead. What are some of the ways that you've seen it played out?
Everything that you just said was just like dead on. I would just add basically what you were just now saying. From my understandings and being in environments when I was much younger, I was in, toxic environments that's definitely not a reflection of the woman that I am today. I was in environments where it was always about looks.
Mhm.
Everything was about looks. Everything was about what you look like, what your body looked like, of course, all those things. It was never about anything like how smart you were. And even if it was about stuff like that, it still was in, like you say, a comparing stance. Oh, she got her PhD. Oh no, you just got your master's. Oh, I got to get my PhD because she got her. So it was always in that type of, comparative way. But for the most part, I find that when comparison comes about amongst us as women is always with like physical, our
Yes,
physicality.
yes, yes,
And I would agree with everything that you said. It becomes a thing of survival.
yes.
I was just having a conversation with a sister last night, and I was talking to her about survival. And it's so funny that you just said that because that's exactly what we said. That it is absolutely about how we are surviving. And even though back then was what it was, when we look at today, it's the same in essence. It's like we got to get this before 30 or before 35. You got to be married, you got to have your children, and we have to compete and compare to get our men to procreate, start our families with, get married, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Hey, Tawana.
Hey, I am so sorry. I
Fine.
wanted to be on time because this is so good. I was trying to listen in. I love it. You guys are like on point. But
You
yeah,
are so welcome. I already let them know you were running behind, but
yes,
you could jump right in. The question we're on right now are what are some of the ways that you've seen where women constantly compare themselves with each other?
yeah. I have experienced it more heavily in the workplace. Definitely. It is really, really competitive in the workplace. As you know, people always want to perform well and people always want to and when you're in an environment where it's encouraged to be kind of like the center of attention or maybe the outspoken person, it's really bad because people are always trying to outshine the other person. But it really is mostly I guess I've experienced it in other avenues, but that one has been the most toxic in my
Mhm,
opinion.
mhm.
Where it's just been like gossip and rumors spread it about women who had absolutely no involvement in whatever was spread, but it of course it turns into the telephone game and it turns into a whole nother situation. I've heard just damaging things that's ruined people's careers, reputations, um, just very catty, competitive. We don't like this group or we don't like this person. Um, and it sometimes it's um looks like she was saying, sometimes it's a guy that they all like and he may be interested in one of them, so now that one is the target for all of the rumors that's going to be spread. So obviously in friendships, I try to stay away from that in my adulthood.
Yeah.
Obviously it doesn't always happen because you get pulled into situations because it's really a high school thing. Obviously, it always happens in school settings. And I don't even know if I experienced it as much in college. But I will say that I wasn't like in any organized groups, like for instance, sororities I kind of had my own circle of friends. So I think when people are in organized groups, I know that they always talk about that they are compared to other groups. And I've seen it myself that, people compare to other groups. One group is prettier than the other group.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. I don't want to name the sororities, but one is known for being the pretty girls. The other one is known for being the more natural girls.
Right.
So
you have team this and team that.
Yes, these girls are a little bit more masculine. I've seen it so much.
I think we talk a lot about the male ego, but I don't think we discuss a lot about our own egos as women. And to be honest, I actually think a lot of it has to do with ego and attention, like trying to get that attention at the end of the day. Okay, I could come. Why can't we come into spaces and we all just perform well? Why does it have to be this competition to outperform? Because it's it becomes you're vying for all of the attention. That's really what it boils down to, right? And I want to get into that. I want to get into how can we work on that? How do we begin to kind of like unpack that in ourselves and moving forward so that when we enter into spaces, that doesn't have to be that way. Where you can look at the other sister and be like, I see you, sis. And I'm going to tell you guys how I deal with that coming in the door, right? I have my own tactic that I do so that I can make it known.
Oh, yeah, you need to share that. You need to share that.
Share with the world.
You need to bottle it up and sell it. I'm telling you, it's that important.
Here's a question I'm going to get into, right? Have you ever been jealous of another woman? If yes, how did that make you feel? And let me tell you why I asked this question. My friend and I, in getting ready for this show, this question came up. And I realized that there's a need for women. Like women, we do not like to be called insecure, right? So we'll do whatever we need to do to deny that we are insecure. So what do we think jealousy is? Jealousy is an insecurity. If you look up the definition, insecure is literally right there, right? So I realized that when asked that question, our first natural response is no, absolutely. For some of us, it's like hell no, right? Because especially Black women, we have this thing where we always got come off strong, and jealousy and insecurity are signs of weakness to us. And so if we are to say we're jealous, it's almost like saying we are weak. If we are to say I had a moment of insecurity, it's almost as to admit that I had a moment of weakness, right? And that's the whole strong Black woman trope that I swear, okay, before I leave this earth, I'm going to dismantle it in everyone around me because it's detrimental to our well-being as Black women, right? So what I realized when I was talking to my friend, we sat quiet for a minute and we had to think about it, because I'm not talking just about your adult life. I'm talking about in general. And then like when you felt that, how did you address it? Because what I realize is jealousy doesn't come from outside of you. It comes from within you. So if I'm feeling a level of insecurity towards Tawana, towards Nzinga, it is not them. Because sometimes they don't even know that they are invoking that feeling inside of me. It's not them, it's inside of me. That's step one. So if I could identify that it's inside of me, now I can go within myself and unpack it and get to the root of why do I see Tawana as a threat? Why do I see Nzinga as a threat versus seeing them as other women of greatness who I could possibly learn from? Why is that? So I want you guys to answer that question. Have you ever been jealous of another woman? And if you were, how did that make you feel? And I also want you to talk about how you address that feeling. So anyway, Nzinga, you could start.
Okay. So, oh my God, as you was talking, so many different things came to mind. The first thing I was thinking about is, the word jealous, I would say jealousy in of itself is not a bad thing. It's an emotion just like any other emotion that we have. I think what makes it negative, or what, not only use the label negative, what makes it not a good thing is just how we express that. When we start, because I think you can see something now. If you see something, you can get inspiration from something. You can feel, you know, it maybe it can lead you to something, maybe some healing work that you have to do within yourself, etc. But when you start getting to the point where you're beating yourself up, talking negative to yourself, or talking negative about the other person, then I think that's when it becomes a toxic situation.
Right.
That's first and foremost. I think that when we have the feeling, for myself, what I've learned through my own journey is that when I felt the feelings of being jealous in a toxic way towards other women, what I realized is that it came from a place of, you know, childhood stuff that I did not even probably recognize was there, not getting enough attention from my, you know, mother or father, not being told that I love you enough, not being nurtured the way that the normal development should be in some ways. And so when I see someone else maybe getting more attention, you know, I know for me, it probably was like it was a trigger. And it would make me be like, oh, well, why not me? I'm special. I'm this, I'm that, etc. So if I could think about a time that I was jealous, I think it's happened. You know, it's a feeling that has happened throughout my life, you know, just to be honest and transparent. I'm not going to sit here and lie like it never has happened. I think that when I first was able to acknowledge, and then at that time I didn't acknowledge, but when I think about it, it would definitely be when I was around like 16, 17. That I'm conscious of. I probably was like that younger than that, but I would say 16, 17. And like I said, I was in an environment full of women who had to show up in this grandiose type of way. Like I said, when I was younger, I was around all types of crazy environments. And in this environment that I was in, it was always about who was the prettiest, who had the biggest butt, who had the prettiest smile, who had the physical, like I was talking about earlier. And what I found happening is that I would find myself getting jealous of the woman, or the girl at the time, it was girls, who just was like the prettiest, you know what I mean? Who got the most attention, or whatever the case may be. And how that made me behave is I wouldn't talk to that person. I wouldn't talk to her. I would keep my distance. If she dropped something, I wouldn't tell her she dropped it, you know, that type of behavior. And probably never even said anything to the person, to the girl ever, like never said anything to her, like never had a conversation with her, any of it, to even know if she was a good person, etc. But based off of the fact that I was jealous, and I allowed that jealous spirit to, you know, take over, it allowed me to not even want to deal with her, you know, or just label her, you know, whatever labels I can, oh, she's stuck up, you know, that type of thing. And so I wouldn't even, it would hinder me from even creating a relationship with this person because I was too caught up in my emotions.
Yeah. Tawana, you can go ahead and you can give your example.
I would say that I agree with everything she said. It was right on point. But I would say that my jealousy stemmed from constantly comparing myself to other women. Like I had smaller boobs, so I always was like, oh, you know, the men. Why I wanted that attention, I wasn't really. I didn't recognize that. I didn't know why, but I just knew that that's what they paid attention to, and I didn't have that, and it made me insecure, and it made me jealous of the women that they went after, and even the women with long hair.
Oh, that's a good one.
My hair is not long, but it's, you know, it's just what. But I mean, there was girls with hair draping down their backs, you know, and they would get the compliments and they would get all of the attention. And why did I want attention from men so badly? But I did, right? But even now as a mother and as a wife, I compare myself to other mothers and wives.
Oh, that's so true.
I'm like, oh,
you went there.
I'm serious. I'm like, ooh, I'm not a good enough mother, you know?
Yes.
And then the ones where their kids are doing crazy well, I'm like, how is she doing this? You know? And I was so insecure at first that I would just act like I had it all together, and I would never just really deal with that emotion. Now I've evolved so much where now it's like she about to be my friend, and then I want to learn everything she's doing. But it used to make me feel like I always had to tell one up them. Like, well, my kid doing this, or your kid doing like I used to feel that way. And I think that once I start realizing, like, what is this? What is this you dealing with? Because you don't know how to do that. And you need her advice. So why don't you, what is it that's preventing you from wanting to ask those questions? Because you still get jealous even to this day of when I see, I mean, I know some wives that's like, house is impeccable. They got this going on. They take care of the husband. They massaging feet. I'm like, girl,
there is no dishes in the sink. There's no
like,
drugs in the home.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how. So I'd be like, I need to figure this out. Now I really want to know, what are you doing? And then I can really just be humble now, in my opinion. It's an evolution. And so what you said, Hanifa, before we started was just like, we always have to present as strong. And that's absolutely why I was jealous, because I always felt like I had to put this front up, that I didn't have emotions, that I was strong. And it's, it bites you in the butt sometimes. So that's how I always felt that I couldn't show anybody that I was insecure or weak, because people thought so highly of me that I didn't think they would understand that I didn't feel the same about myself.
Right. And you know what?
One thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like everything that she just said, Tawana, everything that you just said, did I say that correctly? Okay. Everything that you just now said was dead on. I 100% agree with you. It made me think about, when you was just now talking, it made me think about one of the things that sisterhood allows us to do is be vulnerable, and that's when I begin to learn the importance of sisterhood, because we can come to our sisters, because we know are all of our sisters perfect? No, because we're not perfect, but they allow us that sacred space that we spoke about earlier, to be able to come to y'all and say, look, I struggle with feeling like, that I'm a good mother sometimes, and this is how it makes me feel. And your sisters sometimes would tell you, okay, well, whatever you got to do, help you to feel better about yourself, and help you to teach you what you need to learn, or whatever, hold you accountable, or figure out some type of goals you got to do to get to a point where you want to get to, or whatever the case may be. But that is the key of sisterhood, us being able to be vulnerable with being our authentic self, not hiding, not like, I'm feeling like you're going to judge me, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I feel like I'm a bad mother because I didn't do my ABCs with my children the other night, or I fed them oodles and noodles. So so you allow that space. I'm not saying that that's okay, but I'm just saying that whatever it is that I come to you and say, it would be held in a safe space, not like, maybe you had a conversation with me later on about my diet with feeding them or whatever. Right. But in that moment, like you were saying earlier, Sister Hanifa, when you were saying that you nurture. Yes. You nurture your sister, and you allow her to cry. You allow her to be in that moment, and then later on, we do whatever we got to do.
Exactly. And as Tawana, you are absolutely right. It's sort of like, sometimes it's even how you present yourself, right? In these spaces amongst ourselves. If you present yourself as, I got it all together, this is the vulnerability you're talking about, that is almost like a curse word for most of us Black women, right? Mm-hmm. Vulnerability, hell no, right? Because we don't trust each other. So what you're talking about is even it goes to how we present ourselves in these spaces. If I present myself as, look, I'm a work in progress, always, the likelihood of Tawana or you coming to me is probably going to be high when you need someone to just talk to without judgment. That's important. It's important how we show up in spaces as well. Because if you're busy putting on a front like you got it all together, we're not going to be able to help each other, because now everyone is wearing a mask. Everyone is wearing a mask, and now we're pretending, and it becomes real performative, right? And Tawana said something that struck me. I'm like, as mothers, how much of that do we project onto our children? We drag our children into the competition and the comparing, because we're looking at other mothers and saying, well, their child is an A student, why can't you be an A student? And then now we're kind of like being a little bit, at least I could speak for myself.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
little bit more like a little rougher with your child, because it's like, why can't you be like, so you're not saying it to them, but really subconsciously, that's what's driving you to deal with them in the way that you're dealing with them, is because in the back of your mind, you're like, why can't they do this? Why can't they be like that person's child? So now you're dragging your children into this nonsense of competing and comparing yourself with another woman, with another mother. And it doesn't have to be that way. This is
absolutely.
this is a tricky one. I am so excited to have this conversation. If you guys, because it's so necessary. And I'm about my sisters, like really getting ourselves together. And a big part of it is because I do believe that woman has the power. We have the power to change the trajectory, to change the conversation, to change the narrative, specifically not just around Black women, but around Black culture. And I don't think that we exercise that power enough, or we just don't want the responsibility that comes with that power. And I'm like, no, we got to show up. We got to do the work, right? Because there are generations that are depending on us to do so. And so I'm going to go ahead to the next. Let me check the comments first, because I like to make sure people know I see them and I acknowledge them. Oh, child. Okay, we have Miss Joanna says, yes, my mama made me fight the biggest girl on the block. She meant well, but that was toxic as F. Yes, yes. And then we have Shama, and then it's like what Joanna just said with that. It's like, what was driving her mother? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure some of what we're talking about, her mother was dealing with. This thing goes generations, right?
Generational
we have Shamara. Hey, cuz. She said, I could definitely relate to that. Why can't you be like that other child? Yes, we have. Listen, mothers, we deal with it. We may not talk about it, but we do. Somebody says, thank you, beautiful sisters. Teach. And I see you, champ. The link is going to, because he said he want to add a male perspective. I'm interested in that.
Yes.
I know.
Oh, God. Y'all better get ready for him.
He said the vulnerability.
What you mean, get ready? What's what I need to get ready for?
He's very analytical, intellectual. He going to have us on here.
Well, we going to take our time with you then. Let me see who else I see in the chat. We had shout out Angela already. Okay, so let me move on, because I want to allow people space to come on stage, So all right.
Said they can't see your Cash App. Just FYI, can you put it in the chat for them? They said they couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's on the screen. It's right there at the bottom.
They're probably on their phone, maybe.
Okay.
Your phone is too little. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I put my Cash App real quick.
Shout out to Joanna.
Love it. That is my Cash App. If you guys are feeling a little generous, feel free. Hit your girl up. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to the next question. All right, so this one here, I'm gonna skip one. I'm come back to it. Is self-confidence enough to not fall into the trap of seeing another woman as competition or comparing yourself with her? Now, let me tell you where that comes from. I really think that we try to oversimplify it by saying that you only feel that way because you're just insecure and brush it off, right? Without addressing the dynamics that's actually taking place in the space. So I'll give you an example. And Tawana, you probably can speak to this as well, where it's sort of like, no, this is what's happening. You're looking in the chat, you're looking in the space you're in, and someone is saying, well, why don't you be like this person? Maybe you'll be a little more likable if you're like this, right? So what happens is, if Tawana or Nzinga starts to feel a type of way and say, I'm just going to remove myself out of this situation, or the response is an aggressive one, where you end up telling somebody, shut the hell up, right? And so then people minimize that, or actually oversimplify it to, you're just insecure, without addressing the actual dynamics in the situation, right? Without addressing all the responsible parties involved. So what do you guys say to that? Do you guys think it's just as simple as not having self-confidence? Tawana, you could go.
Absolutely not. Because yes, if you can be self-confident and still have jealous feelings. It's because it's so natural, it's so normal to feel a sense of jealousy. I think that the way that I have overcome that competition or needing to compare myself is by acknowledging that I am jealous and recognizing it. It's so, I think it's emotional intelligence to a degree, because I think that you're always going to constantly question yourself and question, but the world around you is going to make you question yourself. And if you don't have self-confidence, they will make you hate yourself. I mean, that's so true. So I do think that never goes away, and you can be as confident as ever, but there's always going to be someone better in your mind, right? Or someone who's doing this differently than you or much better than you. So I think it's just more so the emotional intelligence and acknowledging that you have those feelings, and then being able to constructively deal with it. Like I said, I'll befriend the girl and I'll ask her, you know, what she do. If I think somebody is a good wife, or they're beautiful, or I like something about them, I give them a compliment and try to, like, you know, get to know them, you know. And I notice that a lot of women are hesitant to get to know you, like you said, with the vulnerability. But those that are open, I'm totally open. So that's how I kind of deal with the need to compare myself all the time.
Yeah. What about you, Nzinga? Do you think we could just chuck it to lack of self-confidence?
When I first thought about this, based off of the way that y'all just now articulated it so beautifully, I would say I originally was gonna think like, wow, I was actually saying yes. I was saying self-confidence was all you needed. But the way that you guys just now gave your perspective, I would say that the perspective that y'all gave was correct. I would say, because you are going to continue to have those feelings. And like you just now said, Tawana, is about being able to identify when you're feeling that way, and being able to express and release the feeling in a healthy way. And it just make me think about, like you just now said, instead of doing what you know to be the unhealthy way, which is, I don't want to, stay away from me, I don't know you, don't want to know you, type of thing, embracing the feeling and getting okay with, okay, the sister look fine. Let me just say, I gotta say, my sisters do look fine, I will say it. But if the sister look fine, y'all, and maybe y'all working out together or whatever the case may be, and maybe she doing her thing at the gym, maybe instead of just like not saying anything, like you say, compliment, says you are really doing a good job on that Stairmaster. I don't know how you do it, but I would love to know if we could work out together sometime, so we can, whatever the case may be. But I think that helps with, like you just now said, the emotional intelligence and being able to process the feelings. And one of the things that I'm learning is that when we begin to do things in repetition, it really becomes the new habit. Instead of the habit being the way that we would normally do it in a toxic way, we can now begin to learn this new habit of doing it. And then now it's become just a part of what we do, how we relate to each other,
Yeah, because that's with everything that, most of what we do is learn behaviors. And they happen from repetition over a certain period of time. And so to actually undo it takes time as well. So you're going to end up having to continually do the opposite of that, so that you can end up getting the results that you want. It's not going to happen overnight. We're not saying that, because when you leave this live, with the information you receive or the provoking thoughts or whatever that is, that you're going to leave here and not walk out and feel a little jealousy within yourself, right? That's not what we're saying. It's going to be a constant work. And for me, it's more so just getting to the root of it. Why am I? And you know what I came up with? Fear of being pushed in the corner, fear of being second, fear of being replaced, fear.
Yes.
The illusion of fear over. That's what keep coming to me. It's just fear, right? Because I'm what am I really competing for, right? What is really going to happen, Tawana, if your child does not get all A's like that other child? What is going? Let's really start to really peel back these layers. what is really going to happen? Nothing.
Right. It's
You're
fear.
still love your
Absolutely.
child. You're going to still cheer your child on. Your child is still going to be who they are, right? Your child and your relationship is still going to exist. There's nothing. It doesn't take anything away from you as a mother, as a woman. So even in other spaces where you're just like, you know what? I don't have hair. So I don't have the issues of well, maybe when I was younger, I don't have the issues of, because it's not going to happen. Okay. I shaved my head before I came on camera today. It ain't gonna happen. So I don't have that issue. But going into a space, for example, as Black women, we might go into spaces where I have a certain complexion. I know I'm not gonna be any lighter than this.
That's right.
I am where I am. So why am I allowing this thought of, this lighter person is getting up? Why am I letting that consume me? I'm not gonna get any darker than this. Even when I go home to the islands and visit, don't trust me, I have a nice tan, y'all, right? But it's never going to be as dark as like a Sudanese sister. And I might admire the way she look like, wow, I like wet complexion, but I will never be that. So being that I know I would never be that, why am I allowing it to consume me? Why am I allowing that to consume me? And a lot of it has to do with fear. Go ahead, Nzinga.
And it just makes me think, what you just now said, it just makes me think that even if it's things that we can change, like, of course, we can't change our complexion, hair, etc. But if it's even the things that we can change, we really have to be able to still give it some critical analysis of why is it that I'm even wanting to change this? Like women nowadays, I don't know if women, getting butt shots and breast things and tummy tucks and all of these different things and ways that they transform them. I'm not knocking nobody, of course. People do whatever they want to do, but I'm saying the reasons why we do these things is ultimately, like you said, the fear of what? The fear of not being seen, the fear of not being wanted or desired or loved or whatever we associate with these things that give us meaning. So even the things that we can change, it's like still like why do we want to change them?
That's right.
And this next question here is a big one for me. And Tawana, I watched you in the other space, so I know I've watched other people in other spaces, other women. I make observations. So this is what kind of drove this question. And I know, Nzinga, you can probably speak on it as well. I feel like all of us can to some degree. But this question here, how do we avoid getting pitted against each other in male-dominated spaces? I'm going to tell you guys right now, if I find myself in a male-dominated space and I notice that they're dishing out a lot of compliments here and there, here is what I do. And it is very genuine. If I see something that Nzinga is good at, I am going to make sure that I make a big deal about it in front of everyone. Nzinga, girl, I wish lipstick could look like that on my lips. You know what I'm saying? Oh, girl, I love them earrings. Like, who did your hair? Like, your shoes, whatever. Tawana, them braids, though. I know I can never get braids, but I like that. You know what I mean? Or maybe you have a way of expressing yourself that I'm like, I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to watch you, right? When I get into those spaces, I make sure that my sisters know that they are dealing with a woman who see them. Not comparing or competing, but who see them for who they are, for the beauty that they are, right? And for the strengths that they bring to the table. I lead with that. My energy exudes that as well. So it's not just about talking. It's also about what you're giving off. Because sometimes as women, we say what we have to say so that we don't look a certain way. I'm not talking about that performative stuff. I'm saying where you could find something, all of us could find something in each other that we could say, yo, I like that. You're real good at that. So for me, how I avoid that happening is two things. I should be able to say, if you try to compare me to another woman, I shut it down. Right? I'm like, you don't need to compare me. She's good in her own right, and I'm good in my own right. She's great in her. That's how I address that. And I wish more of us would navigate those spaces like that. But like you guys were saying, it's almost like this need for that validation, this need for the glorification, this need to be put up on a pedestal above the other woman whose presence I'm in. And if you don't deal with that need within yourself, you're going to enter into those spaces and you are going to see your sister as a competition. You're going to see other women as women that you have to fight for a certain position in men's eyes. It has to be checked before you enter into those spaces. So for me, how I address it, I start dishing out compliments. All right, and I ain't lying, because trust me, if I feel like, let me see, if I feel like your earrings ain't that cute, I am not complimenting you on your earrings. Okay, maybe your dress is cute, so I'm just gonna go with the dress. Okay, I'm talking about being genuine. So you guys tell me, how are some of the ways that we can avoid getting pitted against each other in male-dominated spaces?
You want to go first, Tawana? Okay, I would say, just as you stated, the word that I would use is unify. Pretty much what you just now said in essence. The way that we can, avoid being pitted against one another is unifying. So if we are in these spaces where it's male dominated, we have to come up with ways where we can do just what you said. My sister's good in this, my sister's good in that. We have each other's backs. There's no, there's no thing where people can look at us and see a disunified front, like, I know she, whatever, or he, or she this way or that way. No, they see a unified front within all of us. So it makes me think the word that comes to mind is unified. That's it. Like, just unify, just show unity in all that we do to the best of our ability, because then whatever is on the outside lets us know that it cannot be penetrated. Right. These women, we can't be penetrated with what y'all trying to play, the picking and the light skin worth the dark skin and all of the comparisons that y'all trying to label us as. We are unified in our front. So because we unified, y'all not getting over here, period.
Yes. That's key. That's key. Go ahead, Tawana. I see you.
But I was in a space where that was absolutely what was happening. And what happened is, I had been on the show for a year. Mm-hmm. And honestly, every woman that was on the show probably had a very opposite opinion as me. Mm-hmm. And so the purpose was for us to fight. Mm-hmm. And I had managed to do exactly what you said, Hanifa. I used to compliment. Oh yeah, I like that point, but this is my view on this. I don't agree with that, because obviously there's differences, and just knowing how to compliment the woman, do this and do that. It's just harder when it's very intentional, and the person is like sent to you to be your opposition and sent to be an antagonist, and they understand the assignment, but you may not. You may think, okay, this is another woman, she has a different opinion, but I'm gonna learn from her, she's gonna learn from me. But they may be sent there to destroy you.
Gotcha.
Right? Or that's the mindset that they have. And so regardless of how much you try to unify, compliment, form a bond, is blocked and prevented. And so that was very difficult. And I think when I got into that space and that was what I experienced, the only thing I knew to do was leave the situation. I didn't know what else to do, because nothing else worked as far as like trying to form a relationship. Because if you form a relationship with whomever it is that's in control, I'm just a mere, colleague, or, I guess I'm not important, I guess, in that equation. So for them, it's like, well, this is the control. This is who controls everything. So I don't need to really be friends with you. I don't need to form a relationship or bond with you. So it's really difficult when you have to constantly fight and defend your perspective and your opinion, and you're not in a place where the woman is open to hearing your compliments or your whatever, like they just don't want to hear what you got to say. So I think that that's when it became more challenging. I do think that does work in most cases. Most women are receptive to that and are very open to like, oh, okay, she's not just gonna fight me, right? She, you know, she has a strong opinion, but she also respects what I had to say.
But can we get caught up though? Because
yeah.
I think, yeah, because I think, okay, so it could start as simple as another woman having a different opinion than you, right? It could start as that. And maybe the other players involved is like, well, yeah, team Nzinga and then team Tawana. It starts as small as that, right? And then it starts to build from there, because now you and Nzinga still have the choice to let it get to your head or not.
Yes.
Because here's the reality. Women, our intuitions, we have a level of discernment, right? It's like this magic that we have in us. We know what's happening. But I think oftentimes when your need to be loved and validated consumes your need to be unified,
that's right,
which is what Nzinga mentioned, that's where the chaos comes in. At some point, somebody has to step back and say, wait a minute, I don't even know this sister like that. I don't even know her outside of this space. Go back, let's say you do like we do in our panel. Go back, you look at your platforms, you look at what happened, and you analyze it. I do that when there's conflict, and say, wait, okay, you could look at what could I have done better. If there's an apology that's necessary, then you have the apology. You make the apology. But I think what happens with us is we are not checking the things in ourselves. Those needs that come from childhood, oftentimes, we're not checking them in ourselves, and we are bringing them into adulthood, and we are not conducting ourselves like mature, emotionally intelligent adults.
Yeah,
that's the way that we're supposed to. Because really, in those scenarios, you see an adult person, but it's really a child that's showing up.
Oh yeah,
it's really a child that's showing up. It's a child that's showing up and saying, "Love me." Thank you. And if you, Tawana, or you Nzinga, or anybody else trying to get in the way of that love, I will cannibalize you. I will eat you alive if I have to. Because at the end of the day, there's a starved child in me.
Right.
That needs this. It becomes a matter of survival, not for the adult, but for the child within that adult. And I've seen that played out a million times. So I agree with you, Tawana, but my thing is like, I'm not gonna always agree with all women.
Right.
But does that mean now I have to mark you as my enemy? Does that mean I have to mark you as a target? And I think that's what I want to talk about here. I want to really, and that's going to segue into my next question, because I'm going to drop the link after this question. Go ahead, Nzinga. One minute, sis. I'm going to drop the link after this last question, and then people could join us. Nzinga, take it away.
It just made me think, like, in situations like that, Tawana and Hanifa, which y'all was just now saying, do you feel that it is our responsibility, for those who know better, with regards to how we show up, how we are to demonstrate sisterhood, knowing all that we know? Yeah. Is it our responsibility to teach in those moments? And when I say teach, not so much of standing before someone teaching, but demonstration in our behavior. Would you say that is what we can do? Because that woman that y'all talking about, she could be 30, 40, 50 years old. Maybe she don't know.
Right.
And when we think about sisterhood, it may not always be in the context of, I know this woman, we building together type of sisterhood type of thing. Maybe it's just the fact of knowing another Black woman and having empathy for her struggle. I'm not saying to your detriment. No, I'm saying just having empathy and compassion to understanding that she may be 40, 50, 30 years old, but there was a time when I did not know what I know. So now it is my obligation in some regards to teach her, like, however strategic way that we come up with it.
Not when she's drunk on the attention. I want to be clear on that. Mm-hmm. Not when she's drunk. And I said drunk in the sense of, like, in that moment, that's not the time to teach, right? When she has sobered up from whatever love she's receiving and everything, because here's the other thing we do. If you do it in front of other people, it's going to create another thing. And there is a lot of gaslighting that ends up happening. Oh, you just jealous, right? But so, and then it's not what you say, but it's also how you saying it. And so it goes like, oh no, you're just jealous because I'm getting all the attention, right? In Zinga. But you already been down that road and you see it for what it is. So you're like, nah, she is like eating this up, but this is not gonna end well for her, right? Okay. So yes, I agree with you. It is our duty. Those
So being strategic.
I think
strategic. Yeah, go ahead, Juana.
I think that what I've done is like play into it sometimes, which is absolutely wrong. Like, oh, okay, you want to come for me? Okay, I'll come back at you. Then it's like I'm doing exactly what that male-dominated space wanted us to do, right? Is argue, fight, belittle, criticize, humiliate each other, and show that women cannot get along. And once I decided, like, I'm not going to participate in, you're absolutely right, Hanifa. There's no way you can correct a woman that's in that space, and that's what her mindset is. The only thing you can do is make a decision that's tough. Like, I got to walk away from this. If I can't form a relationship outside of this and discuss something and get on the same page, right? But because that wasn't an option, it's like, okay, you walk away. And then later, when you know things change, whatever, you can get back together and say, wait a minute, we never gonna let this happen again, right? Let's never do this to each other again in this space, and let's recognize exactly what happened. But you have to be able to, like you said, they have to be removed from that space or situation in order to really completely understand it.
Thank you for that.
That's it. Yeah,
I agree. And so I agree with what thank you for building on that, Tawana. And in Zinga, thank you for even asking that, because that's a good point. That's a good thing to point out, that if you are more aware, or you have the knowledge and you realize that that person doesn't, what is your responsibility? And I agree, your responsibility is to highlight possibly what's happening, because that person may not be aware. But while that person is in their drunken state, and when I say drunken state, they are drunk on compliments, validation, and so forth, you're not going to get anywhere. They will gaslight you. I've been there. They will gaslight you and tell you you just jealous. So your best option is to say, maybe wait until that, because here's what's going to happen. Something is going to happen that's going to snap them out of it. That's where you come in and you reach out and you extend the olive branch and say, you good, sis? You know what I mean? And this is something that I want to talk to you about, but I feel now is a good time. Right. And then you guys build and have a conversation on how do we move going forward when we find ourselves in these spaces. I want to touch on our 100 watts question real quick before I move on. He says, is jealousy a more of a feeling or an action? And I know we spoke on that earlier, because we were like, it starts with the feeling. What you do with the feeling becomes the action. Because there are a whole lot of people who are jealous that haven't done anything physically to you. They haven't tried to sabotage you, right, but it's eating them up inside, right? But they're not acting on it, right? And then there are those people who actually, they feel that feeling and they really don't know how to deal with it. And so they lash out. You know, right. You have women, sometimes we have people around us who are like, sabotaging stuff. They're not showing up for your stuff. You know, they're not really, supporting you the way that you going hard for them. That's like a subtle way of sabotaging each other. Or they go and they talk behind your back and, why do you like her? Or, like these little things, these little subtle things. And then there's those that's just real jealous. And I actually believe that on top of the jealousy, there's like an anger, a rage involved. I think those are the people who take it to the extreme. So if you guys want to respond to that, go ahead before I move on to the next question.
Yeah, I think individually for me, it's always been a feeling more than an action, but absolutely just everything Hanifa said, that at some point it can turn into an action that can be very hurtful. I think I gave examples about rumors that were spread about women at work that damaged their careers, or other devastating comparisons that hurt people. So it absolutely can turn into an action, but it starts with a feeling about this person that comes from insecurity, that comes from whatever emotional void that they're trying to fill, as we've been trying to say. So yeah, I agree with him. I mean, I understand what he's saying, but
yeah,
it's really
so
not one or the other,
I
right?
want to get to the last question, and then I'm going to start letting some people up. So y'all get ready, get ready, get ready. So this question, let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link as well while we tackle this question. Let me just do this real quick. Okay. I will see if I remember how to do this, because last time I was stuck. Lord knows I was stuck. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Yes, go ahead, Deepa.
I know the link is in the chat. Okay. So, what are some things we should start doing to address the issue of women harming each other, whether that's emotionally, psychologically, or spiritually? You guys often hear me talk about this, and this is no shade to anyone or no sisters or anything like that. I am noticing that there's a lot of women who are seeking healing from these healing circles that they were a part of because they were hurt in those circles, right? It's almost like church. That came to my mind, church, where people say, oh, you got church hurt, right? That's why you're mad. You're not mad at Christianity, you're mad at. But where does that hurt often come from? Woman in the church, if we're being honest, right? So when I say spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, what are some of the things that we could begin to do to start to address those issues of us harming each other? What you guys, come on, let's come up with some solutions here. Let's give the people something that they could take away with them today. Go ahead.
I would say first and foremost, what we're doing right now, having open dialogues, open, and so first and foremost, I would say having open dialogues where we can talk about these type of issues that plague our communities, plague our relationships with other Black women. This right here, and I thank you again for having this platform for us to come on here and have these type of conversations where we can bring awareness to this topic. First and foremost, I was going to say sacred spaces. And so I'm gonna still go along with saying sacred spaces because I'm very in tune with and mindful of the words. So when we say sacred spaces, I'm not talking about the spaces where we leave and hurt, and sometimes we can be hurt by something unintentionally. Yes. You know what I mean? We can be hurt by something, and it depends because we all coming from different backgrounds, needing different things, wanting different things, looking to different sisters to give us certain things. You understand what I'm saying? So we can unintentionally be hurt. And I think that as we continue to grow, I know for me anyway, as I continue to grow, I didn't take so many, whereas though at one point in time, I would take everything personal. Like everything was personal. Now I'm just kind of learning, like, don't take everything so personal. You get in these sister circles. We have to make sure that we are providing a place of safety. When I come in there and I tell you something that may have happened to me or something that I experienced in my childhood or whatever the case may be, I don't want to hear that out in the world. Somebody else telling me something that I shared in what I thought was a sacred space. That causes more damage than anything. So I would say having conversations like these, platforms like this, where we can open it up to brothers, we can open it up to whomever want to join us, etc. So we can get our wheels turning, and then just creating authentic, sacred spaces where we can come together as women with the intent really to heal each other. No other intent outside of really healing each other. That's it. Not what I can show, what I know, and with all of these things, like whatever I have, I'm just bringing it into the group to heal, like a potluck, potluck for healing. That's it.
I like that. I like that, Nzinga, a potluck. Bring your healing dish with you.
Yes,
very much. Bring your sage. Bring your sage.
Yeah. So
let me pick whatever I need. I need a hug. I'm gonna pick from that pot.
Absolutely. Yes. Go ahead, Tawana. You can answer the question.
Everything she said. And also, it wasn't until I eliminated that thought of you can't trust women to the mindset of I need to understand women more. And then I started to get involved in women-dominated environments, groups, community groups, and things like that. And it honestly helped me to form relationships and bond with women that showed me different behavior. Because I was only associated with women who reinforced the negative things that I knew about women, right? The cattiness, the messiness, and I attracted that, but I didn't realize in what I was doing was surrounding myself with those same type of people that kept validating the negativity for me. And so once you change your space and you work with women who volunteer, right? I met some amazing women like that. Think about things that you love to do or you're interested in doing. Find a sister. It's so easy if you're on Facebook now to find a circle of women who do, whatever. I know women who watch reality TV, right? And we all like bonded because we like reality TV and started this group. And then I got to meet some amazing women because I was in this group that we just all had a commonality, like that sisterhood. I didn't get to explain that, but yeah, the interest that we all shared, right? And then we all like supporting each other. I do think that helped me so much. And also, like you said, having these conversations, but not just having these conversations, having solution-based conversations. Because a lot of people just don't know. They don't know how to effectively communicate. They don't know how to form relationships with women. They haven't been taught that their mother and daughter bond is not there. And we assume that all women know how to connect with other women, and that's not true because I had a deeper relationship with my father. So I can connect with a man like this, but a woman, it takes a little bit longer and a little bit more effort because, like you said, women, we have a natural instinct where we can see when someone's not being genuine or when someone is not, we know, or at least we feel like we know. Yeah. It may not be the case. But we form our opinion based on our instinct and our intuition. So I had to learn how to give more of a genuine energy to women because I didn't typically have one. I just needed whatever I needed, and that was really it. So I think that there's so many things that we can do to form a genuine energy. And just like I said, getting involved, learning about women. Anything that you really want to get better at, you have to study. And I believe wholeheartedly in that. If you want to get married, you got to study marriage. You got to figure out what marriage is all about. If you want to have a better friendship with women, you need to read books. You need to read information. You need to learn about what it takes to form a bond with women. And you need to start with maybe women in your closest circle. And making sure that you enhance or improve those relationships. So those are just some things that I think
that you make some really good points. And I'm going to go in this order. I'm going to hit Juana, then the brother that came up, Anani, and then Nionu. Okay, Nionu. So I'm going to go in that order. But before I get to you, Joanna, I just want to say that one of the things that I've been challenging myself with, because this is a mindset change for me. I've been challenging myself to get around people who are not like-minded, and I know that might be a little off for some people, but I've been challenging myself with that because I really believe that that's really the only way you can grow. We actually think we're doing something where we're only around like-minded people and we're in echo chambers. We really believe we're something until we come out of that bubble and we realize, oh, you what? You don't agree with me? You don't see the world the way I do, right? And that's a challenge for me. And I feel like that actually stretches me. And I'm open to that, right? Because the reality is like, no matter what I think about another sister, they can always teach me something. If my toddler is a teacher, if I could see my toddler as a teacher and could teach me something, that means there's anyone that I interact with in this world. It doesn't matter. It could be someone on drugs. It could be someone out there prostituting themselves. It could be a homeless person. It could be a rich person. It doesn't matter. If I am open to it, they have something to teach me. So that's one way. I'm just throwing that out there that you might be able to challenge yourself. Don't look at the sisters and judge them. Maybe get in their space and kind of see and learn what you can learn from them and what you can also give. Juana, let's hear from you, sis. And then Anani, I'm coming to you next. Go ahead, Juana.
Thank you, Hanifa. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this particular topic. I just want to have to say that you all are just everything that you're saying is just resonating in me to my soul and my spirit. And I'm so grateful to all three of you. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me
Yes,
well?
we can.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you. We can hear you.
Because I'm on a cell phone. Okay, I'm always on a cell phone. So sometimes I speak real loud because I think you can't hear me.
Mhm.
We can hear you clear.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to take my voice down a little bit to my normal voice. What is the flower's name in the white coat?
That is in Zinga.
Nzinga.
Hmm.
Lovely to meet you. I certainly I so appreciate your points. I just wanted to connect with one of the last things that I heard from Hanifa. All of your points were amazing and
Hmm.
resonated with me. I just want to connect with Hanifa about, stepping out of you may not have used these exact words, but stepping out of your comfort zone when you find yourself in a situation where it seems like you have an adversary. A famous person said, and I wish I could remember who this was. Someone may be able to help me. They probably have heard it before. But when you come across a person whom you think that's a very important word, who you think you don't like, their response was, I don't like him. I think I'm going to get to try to know them better. And that's what I heard you saying, Hanifa. Um, a lot of times, if I feel uncomfortable, if I feel insecure, there is definitely something that is within me more so than what is in what I'm experiencing or think or perceiving in the other person. 9 times out of a 10, like what Juana said, it's a wounded child in there. Or maybe it was Nzinga who said it. There's a wounded child in there who may not have received everything that they needed to receive. And that child shows up. I'm a 52-year-old woman, and sometimes my inner wounded child can show up. And so I just totally appreciate this conversation because it does affect how we show up in spaces. It shows in our relationships, in our workships, even in our spirituality. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to let you know that I'm overcoming a lot of fear of interacting with other women. Like Tawana said, I'm very connected with my dad. And I used to be very trepidatious about interacting with women. And I usually hang out in male dominated spaces because I don't feel any competitiveness with men. I know I don't want to compete with men. So there's like no underlying um I don't know what the word is, but there's no underlying ish there. But all the sometimes I found that there would be something underlying in women's spaces, and a lot of times I was bringing that, not putting it on them. But that's because there's a lack there that was not transferred from mother to child. Now that's gonna sound like I'm blaming my mom, and I don't want to blame my mom. She learned from her mom. My mom did the best that she could do. Okay. My dad raised me, and my mom did the best that she could do. She was 19 years old when she had me. And so whatever she had to give, she gave that to me. And I shared to you about how she made me fight the biggest woman on the block. That probably was not the most appropriate or healthy way to handle that situation, dealing with a introverted child who had no brothers and sisters. But she did the best that she could do. Now, as an adult, it is my responsibility to recognize what happened there, to go back and heal that inner child, and also to comfort that inner child. As a woman, I speak to my inner child a lot, and I was like, "That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're good. You're smart.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like them, or you don't have to, and you can compliment them and you can appreciate them, and they're not trying to take anything away from things that my mother should have said. And
Wow.
again, that's not a knock on my mom.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
did she did the best that she could do, and I love her dearly. But I just want to let you know that you're doing a brilliant job here. I,
Thank
s- I,
you.
I truly appreciate the conversation. I think you're all lovely, and I want you to know that I see the God in you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
we give honor to the divine in you as well, Joanna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your input. And
Thank
what you mentioned about your mom, that's so many of our stories actually, and it's not a knock on our parents. They did the best with what they had, and if we know better, we do better. I was just about to get to Anani, and he left. Oh, my apologies. Please come back if you can hear me, Anani. I was just about to get to you.
Okay,
Um,
ladies. Good night, ladies. Peace, peace.
all
Thank
right,
you,
good night.
Joanna. Thank you.
Okay, Neonu, don't go anywhere. Can you hear me, sis? You
Can
gotta
y'all hear
unmute.
me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And listen, I can hardly hear y'all, so y'all gonna see me doing a lot of this.
Okay, wait. Neonu, give me 1 minute because Anani's back, okay?
Okay.
I want to make sure I give him his time. Okay. And I see Daryl here and I see Anani here. Anani, can you hear me?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead and give us what you got, brother. Thank
All
you,
right.
first of all. Thank you for coming on the stage and
No problem.
contributing to this woman-dominated conversation.
Right. Listen, I was already nervous. Like, look, here go men already trying to put their nose in something.
Go
So
ahead.
I just want to say, we got to also, the men have to start taking accountability on the damage we put in to sisterhoods when we have had infidelity and cheated in our relationships. When we done those kind of, can y'all hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, when we've cheated and violated the relationship and having two women put at odds with one another, and that ramifications of what that had laid into play because you don't want them talking to each other, trying to catch you in your crap and your bull crap, you know what I'm saying? So you and then you create inbred fighting. So I just wanted to talk about how we have aided in damaging, and later, not now, but and maybe in a panel discussion with men, and we sit down and we take some accountability. How men have told women how they should do their sisterhood, not minding their business, but constructing sisterhoods for women with men overseeing it.
Woo!
And infusing their thoughts into it, and totally conflicting it, not allowing women to do what women do. But you're telling women you should do this and this should happen with her and y'all should do this and that, and not knowing. And that happens in all spheres, whether it's in the Nation of Islam, whether it's in the Christianity, whether it's in the Pan-African movement. It seems to be that men want to architect rather how women should be, we just got to start taking some accountability that we have hurt sister relations because we want it to be the way we wanted to be, to soothe and satisfy us and our egos. And we also got to take some accountability when we have created distrust amongst women. And I've seen, I mean, the moment two women actually work together, and you've seen it, it's not the best thing to talk about online, but when two women who have been violated by a man and not being honest and genuine in a relationship and creating infidelity, when they talk to each other, they start teaming up. Like, you know what, girl, I ain't really mad at you no more. Let's jump on him. And I've
That's
seen it.
right.
They jumped on him together. And he
That's
tried to
right.
get up out of there. You know
They
what
did
I'm
'em.
saying?
They
It,
did 'em.
it's these things that when you do this next time, you know what I'm saying, you build onto this conversation, bringing men in, and we can start being accountable to say, you know what, I created that idea of a woman with a larger posterior and a woman that I'm in a relationship with, she doesn't have that. I'm liking all the pictures on Instagram of women
Woo!
who are built a certain kind of way, but my wife may be built more of a slim build, and all of a sudden makes her think like, damn, what's going
Anani,
on?
I
Get it.
gotta
Oh,
Get
stop
it.
you. I gotta
uh-oh,
stop you
uh-oh,
because you don't got into a whole other space.
uh-oh,
I am
uh-oh.
No, because you brought up something, and that's what I said. It's not enough to just simply say it's only a lack of self-confidence.
Right.
We have to acknowledge the other things at play that's creating that issue. And you touch on a point. Let me repeat what you said. My wife is a slim fit. She barely got any booty. but all the pictures I'm liking on Instagram is a big booty woman. And then you looking at your wife when she reacts like, why are you being insecure? Really? You choose to marry
You know, I
me
teach.
and my not you choose to
Can
marry
you hear?
me and my small booty, but you on Instagram liking all the big booties. You touched on something there, but I'm gonna let you finish up because I want to get to Nuyono and then I want to get to Daryl because
Yes.
we only got until 7 tonight. Go ahead.
Got you. I just want really quickly. I teach a lot of men and women. I shared this thing about insecure, right? We are always secure. When we use the word insecure, that means you're bringing something in, something that is now not making things secure anymore. Because if it's already secure, when you bring insecure, that means you're bringing something in to the environment that now breaches the security. So you're absolutely correct. I agree with you 100%. I'm going to get up out of here because, men start mansplaining and we start talking. We need some help sometimes. So I love you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Okay, so then we have Noyonu. Let me hear from you, sis. Give it to us.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Okay,
Yes.
so I can't hardly hear y'all, so y'all gonna see me doing like that because I can't hear y'all that great. But I want to first say thank you so much to the panel. Thank you so much for this conversation. Two reasons why I wanted to get on to just really support my sister Nzinga and say, I'm super duper proud of you for walking in your purpose and trying to heal our women. So I just wanted to say that. And as well as, it's so funny that you came up with this topic because I was thinking about one of the reasons why we can't move forward as a people. I think one of the biggest things is we find ourselves competing with each other as women. And one of the reasons I think we compete is because we don't understand our purpose. And at first I was like, maybe it's just because we don't understand our purpose. But it's not solely that. It's on top of everything that y'all said. It's not only not understanding my purpose, but how my purpose is connected to yours. And why if I don't fulfill mine and the connection that it has to yours, then I cannot be fulfilled. And I think if we can't understand that, I think that's one of the reasons why we compete, because of a lack of purpose, also a lack of self-love, not understanding, not love for self, and not understanding how my purpose is connected to yours. And whatever you're doing that betters yourself, that betters your family, your community, it helps me, and I don't think that we understand that. And because we don't have that understanding, we continue to compete. But I'm so grateful that you had me on your show, and I'm so grateful that you had this conversation. And to all of you women and all of this honesty, like, let's be honest, we be jealous sometimes. That's the part I appreciated the most, being honest about that, because there have been times where I feel jealous and I'm like, oh my goodness, like beating up on myself about that feeling and trying to deny the feeling. But what happened is the denial of the feeling doesn't allow me to grow. So I'm so glad, I just want to say I'm so glad that you had this conversation. It's so important, and we just need to keep on having these kinds of conversations. And communication, women have to communicate to other women how they are truly feeling, even if it is to say, you know what, I'm a little jealous of the fact that you got your family all together, or that you making money in your business, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. Being honest, and not in my case, I always fear losing somebody. Like, if I be honest with this person, I might lose my sister, or we might not have a relationship no more, or she might not understand where I'm coming from. So thank you so much for this conversation. Thank you so much to
Yes,
Mama Nzinga, Mama Tawana, Mama Hanifa. Love y'all.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
yeah,
much.
we love you. You should have been on this panel, okay?
Like, like we say in the garden, she was cooking. Okay,
Exactly.
she was definitely cooking. That's the Baltimore crew.
I say, right?
The Baltimore crew, right? But something that she said that I want to touch on before I go to Daryl. She talked about how knowing that your purpose is connected to mine.
That's right.
Yeah,
So when
yes.
you are being your best self, I am going to benefit from that. If I am being my best self, you benefit from that. So it's the connectivity of all of it. So when we are functioning as individuals and we're thinking, I'm just over here, my corner doing my thing, it doesn't affect Tawana. It doesn't affect Nzinga. It doesn't affect Daryl. It doesn't affect Nuyunu, right? That's what we think. But here's what happened. Then when we put all of us in a space together, because I only been dealing with myself individually, and I haven't exposed myself to other thought processes, I haven't exposed myself to challenges or areas that I could grow in. Now I come in there thinking that the entire world operates the way that I think. And so now I come in and I start projecting all of these things onto you. But if I, with community helps me become my best self. I tell people that all the time. You cannot become your best self outside of community. Do not pay these people no mind about going up in the mountains of Tibet, okay, and coming back just with this big aura. You need community so that you can grow and become your best self. So thank you, Niono. And now we have another brother on the panel. Daryl, what you got for us, sir? Peace to you.
How you doing? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Peace to all you guys tonight. I have a lot of things I'm working on, and one thing I want to talk about tonight is accountability. Right? Men at certain times we got to take accountability when we're wrong. I think a lot of things that I've dealt with women in particular, it's because sometimes Virgos we have a lack of accountability. You said something earlier about men saying that they like one type of woman and then they go online and they like in pictures of a different type of woman.
I didn't say that. The brother said that.
The brother said that, right? But I think it's true. I think that men, I don't want to go like too harsh or whatever. I'm super chill tonight. But men, for lack of better words, they lie. They lie to women about what they look like. They lie to women about how they feel about them. And they lie to them because they have incentives that they also lie about. They don't really come into the situation saying, right or wrong, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you what's going on in my life so that you can be in a healthy situation and make healthy choices. I think that's something that me and Mr. O was talking about the other day when he was saying, are you somebody that you would date, right? I think it's really big to be honest about that. To look somebody in the face, like a man with children, like myself, right? A man who up until recently had a woman who was living with me who I wasn't with. How do I court women in that situation, right? And now I live alone, just me and my daughter. But the point is what I would do is I would be honest, right? Let me be honest with you about my situation, about my life, because I think that a lot of people, yes, you might find one of us attractive. We might be able to physically get down, but when it comes down to it, can we communicate healthy? Can we move forward and plan healthy? And we can't do none of that if everything about us is disingenuous. And I feel like a lot of men, I'm pretty sure some of you ladies probably deal with it at one point in your life, dealt with men who was disingenuous. Probably because y'all was beautiful and they wanted to, whatever incentive that they had that they hid from you guys, they use a lot of different forms of manipulation. And I find a lot of men in these manosphere spaces, they regurgitate these manipulation tactics. Recently I was watching an interview that Tawana did. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I was watching an interview on Kevin Samuel's page, and at the end of it, I didn't even know Tawana popped up. And they was having a conversation about, in so many words, the manosphere. And I really agree on some of the things that she was saying. Like, for example, we have to really lay some of the things that happen in our entire environment at the feet of men. We can't say that, well, men are out of the household because of the color purple. We can't take accountability away from men. And that's all I really came up here to say is that like being a single father, I know that accountability really matters. And I think that's something that when we, like, even if we're talking about dating or courting a woman, you have to be really accountable about how you court a woman to give her opportunity to know what she's getting herself into. But that's all I really want to say, ladies.
No, thank you. That's good. Thank you. And I think the main point that a lot of us probably got is in the beginning you said men are dishonest. And I think what you're saying with that is that they have a certain type, but they end up settling down with someone who may not necessarily be their type. So that's where you might see them doing what Anani mentioned, which is they're looking at who is actually their type, but maybe they don't have access to those women, and so they end up settling for something else, which then creates another issue in their own marriages and their own relationships. So I thank you for that input, because that's real. That's real. And I know I mean women do it too. So but thank
Likewise,
you for
they do.
thank you for adding some masculine input here. You and Anani, you guys are bold. All right, peace.
Peace.
We have Miss Colette. Can you hear us? What you got for us, sis?
Hey, Hanifa. Hey, panel. How are you?
Hello. Welcome.
Okay, so I have a treat for you guys, right? I'm going to let my mom speak. My mom is much older. And as you guys know, we're Jamaican, but her accent is really deep. So the same question. I just asked her the question so she could tell from her standpoint why do women are catty against each other or have jealousy against each other. Mom, so you tell him exactly what you were telling me.
Oh gosh. Oh Lord, Colette. She put me on the spot, yeah.
You said, mommy, you said because women.
Okay, I think sometimes because some women, not all women, are not comfortable with who they are. And if you're not comfortable with who you are, sometimes you tend to look to pick on everything that you see with somebody else and think it's and just take it as a negative and just spread it across. As for me, I know I am more like Colette, or Colette is more like me.
Get dressed up.
And it's not me saying, okay, trying to be bougie or trying to be pretty. It's just my personality. Okay. And some people have a different personality. That's just me. If I'm even going to my mailbox, I make sure
I dress up.
If I have a hat on my head or I have on some nicer pajamas or something like that, that's just me. And then somebody else would just think that, I'm just trying to be somebody that I am not. But then if you get to know me, you just get to see, okay, that's just who she are. And ladies have to understand sometimes we're gonna have women that's prettier than us. Right. We're gonna have women with a better shape,
right? Nice
complexion, nice face. Right. And me, I'm a short person. And I would love to have some more height, but I can't. But I try to do the best with what I have. And if I see a woman and she looks good, I'm not scared to tell her that she looks good. Yep. I like your face. You have a nice shape.
Yep.
And
that's where I get it from.
And at the same time, I was at work the other day, and this girl, she have 2 kids. Nice, young, pretty African girl. She's from Africa, yes. And I see her with a lot of nice wigs in her hair, and then I saw her with this wig that it was so short and cut, and it didn't do anything. When I say nothing, that wig does for her. So I said, girl, don't you ever step out of the house looking like that again.
Oh my God.
That wig doesn't do anything.
You can't tell her that?
You know what she did?
What?
She took that wig off her head and went straight to the garbage bin and dumped it.
Oh, she listened to you.
Yes. And when I saw the wig didn't do anything, it didn't do anything for her because she bought the wig and she cut the wig about 3-4 times.
So what's the lesson in that?
I'm just saying, don't leave your house looking like that. She's married, she's young. There's no reason for her.
But we can't just go around telling people.
No, not people, but I'm just saying, to me, it wasn't, she was just it just didn't do anything. When I say it make her look much older.
So what if she would have said,
So
mind your business?
Because I didn't take it like to her like that. I take it to her
so
on a
tell
more
them that.
right. I
You're
didn't.
coming from a place of.
Yeah, she saw that, and that's the reason why she. And when she finished, you know what she did?
What?
She hugged me, she kissed me, and then there was another girl sitting there, and she
Ma,
said,
they got other people to talk.
the other girl
No,
said,
they have other people that has to talk.
okay, no.
okay, go, that's fine.
Colette is okay. Mama,
Let Mama talk.
I know, Mama. Let me tell
Okay,
you.
go
Let me
ahead.
tell you what I heard. What Mama said, Colette. Mama said,
Let you talk.
Oh, I was saying the other girl turned to her and started saying, that's true. I was saying the wig, and that's what we do sometimes. If we see somebody not looking good, we don't have to be rude or nasty about it, because the other girl, know that the wig didn't do anything for the girl. She wasn't looking good. And we can say it from a very good, nice place, you know?
Right.
Let them know that,
okay.
I don't mean any bad.
Right.
It's something good. I'm just,
And she knew you had a nice wig too, so she knew to trust you.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love the compliments woman.
Yes.
That's one thing about me. I love the compliments woman. So,
And all these women on the panel look gorgeous.
of course, I like her hair. The
The one with the braids.
no, the no hair one.
Oh, that's Alpina.
Alpina, I like it. Oh, you're rocking it, girl.
Okay, thank you. Wait, let me just
Thank you.
Colette before you guys go. Mama said a no hair one. Okay, so let me just say this. What I
She
heard-
rocking it.
Well, let me tell you what I heard her said that stood out. A lot of it has to do with not being comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
That's what stood out for me, right? Because what Mama is saying is that if you are not comfortable with who you are, everything about somebody else is going to bother you.
Yes.
They don't even have to do anything. They could sneeze the wrong way, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, so you think you're cute? You think your sneeze cute, huh?" Right? Because you
Mhm.
have issues with your own self. So I wanted to kind of like just zoom in on that. That Mama came in here to give it to us, raw. But what she's saying is that if you are not comfortable with who you are, then it doesn't matter what anyone else does. You are always
Yes.
going to think that someone has a problem with you. So Colette, Mama, I'm gonna go ahead because I know we're moving on, and we're
All
almost.
right. Thank you, sweetie. Here.
Thank you so much, Mama. Thank you, and come
You're
back
welcome.
anytime, please.
Okay, bye guys.
All right, Colette, take care. Okay, we have Miss Red Lipstick. Peace, sis.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
You can just call
well.
me Miss Ty.
Okay, Miss Ty, welcome. What you got for us, Miss
Hi,
Ty?
panel. Hi, ladies. Hi, Wana. How you
Hello.
doing?
Hello.
Okay, so I'm gonna try not to let my accent come out too much. Okay. um. First, I believe it starts when you're young, when you're a little girl. It's how you're raised and how you perceive yourself from growing up. Um, for example, for myself, I grew up in all white neighborhood. I went to all white school, so I was kind of, people would say I was privileged. My parents military, father pastor, preacher's military kid, basically. So there was a time because all of my cousins, everybody in my family were what you say light skin, and me, I'm the only chocolate drop. Even my mother, she's Creole, so she's light skinned, but I got my complexion from my dad. So there was a time when I felt like I wasn't pretty because everybody else around me was different from me. And one day I was crying about, I was being teased or whatever. And my mother and father had to sit me down and tell me, like, you are just as beautiful as them. Just because they're lighter than you doesn't make you not beautiful. And so they pulled out the album where I saw all of my great grandmother and all of the aunties that have gone on that had my skin color, and they were beautiful. So it starts when you're little. And then when you grow up, and if you don't, just like the young lady says, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, and if you don't know your purpose, you're going to transform that to other people. You're going to make other people feel what you feel inside, which is insecurity and low self-esteem. And that's what a lot of our women are dealing with. We're so insecure with ourselves and we're not comfortable with ourselves. Like Mama said, we tend to fight against the woman that we're trying to be like or emulate. Mm-hmm. And something that Mr. O said in the chat about being competitive is sometimes healthy. And it is. Sometimes being competitive is healthy. It's healthy for us to, like, girl, we're going to do this. We're going to see who's going to win. But what the problem is when envy and jealousy seeps into healthy competition. Mm-hmm. All right, that's all I gotta say because I can talk all day, girls.
No, thank you for that. And I agree. I saw Mr. O's, and I do agree to a certain extent because I think that I could look at Tawana's greatness, your greatness, Nzinga's greatness, and just be like, I would like to learn from them, not necessarily compete with them. And I think that's where I draw the line with the competition piece. But I know the two ladies have to get ready to go. So I want to wrap up. Do you have anything else to add, Miss Ty, before we start closing out?
No, I enjoyed the show. You ladies brought some great word, and especially that young lady that came on last. I tell you, she was preaching, teaching.
Thank you, ladies. Love you.
All right.
And that colorism comment resonates so much with me. What Ty was talking about, and I know that it wasn't specifically about the topic, but it does spill over into why we do certain things, why jealousy is even a factor, because you start to feel insecure about things that you cannot change. Like you said, Hanifa, there's things that you can't change your skin color. Whatever your hair length, you may be able to change it, but for the most part, it might not change. Some things is just who you are. And so, yeah, I love that.
Thank you. And Nzinga, we're going to be wrapping up because I know you ladies got to head out.
Yeah.
So Tawana, was that your last spiel or you have any closing remarks? Because I'm doing closing remarks right now.
I'm going to do closing remarks.
Yeah.
I have learned so much just from listening to you ladies, reading the comments. Like, I've read all the comments. I hear what the women are saying. And this is something that I like intentionally try to be better at every day. Just try to get better at building relationships with women, trying to get better at understanding, how to not be involved with the drama, with the competitiveness, the jealousy, how to acknowledge it and be constructive with it. And so I appreciate just having tools that I can take with me. Hanifa, I heard you challenging myself, being in circles of people who are not necessarily like me, which I do as well, and just learning from those individuals. And one lady said in the chat, using it as a learning opportunity and not always as a competition. Yeah. If women start seeing it as like an opportunity to learn, we can just be so much better. And so, yes, Nzinga, Hanifa, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel great. I feel blessed to be a part of this. And so I just appreciate you.
Thank you. Nzinga, your closing remarks.
Yeah, I would say the same thing that Tawana just now said. Thank you, of course, for this platform and, the invite. I'm happy that I was able to join you tonight. And the beauty of sisterhood is I had to call one of my sisters over to come over and help me out with all my children, all of them downstairs. And she came over with her two, one a newborn and a 4-year-old to come help me with mine. So that's the power of sisterhood. I was going to say too that, goodness, I just now lost my train of thought. You said something about something that you said earlier that just really, I wanted to reiterate. But just, thankful for this opportunity. And like you said, making sure that I step out of my comfort zones of sisterhood. Sometimes I think I get into this thing too, where if a sister don't walk, talk, act like me, then I'm like, kind of like, and I think that I am going to, moving forward, be more intentional about building a sisterhood with other women. They don't, have to necessarily, be into it. I just think as long as we can build a healthy relationship with each other, we would be just fine. So I just wanted to thank you for that. And that was it. It was something I wanted to say, but I lost train of thought.
You're fine. For me, I just want to tell you guys, thank you. When I asked Tawana to come on, I knew when that's why I sent the questions ahead of time, because I wanted you guys to be comfortable, not feeling like you had to talk about any specific stories or blow anybody's spot up. I wanted us to just have the conversation, because we're not going through this alone, right? All of us have stories as to that can relate to the topic. So I want to thank both of you ladies. Nzinga, I admire you so much. You know, I've done business with you.
Yeah.
But before you ladies go, Tawana, I just met you, and I am telling you, I love you. I love your energy. We've already, you know, been in conversations privately and so forth. So I appreciate you. I'm always looking for women to build with and women that I could learn from, because I'm still learning, right? But I want you guys to quickly share any information, like if business wise, if you have a YouTube channel, Instagram, share that this time, please, before you guys get off of this platform. So Tawana, go ahead, share your information.
Of course, please follow me on YouTube, Wana Space Chica. I have a few shows that we just aired out. You can also follow me on IG at Wana_Chica. And Chica is short for Chicago. I have a little spin on Chicago. So Wana_Chica. And you can also follow me, like I said, on YouTube, Wana Space Chica. And Hanifa, of course, I love you so much. I'm so happy I met you. And this is a sisterhood. We're going to keep going for sure.
For sure.
Love it. Yeah.
All right. And go ahead.
Absolutely. And now, really quick, now I thought about what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was going to say when I was closing, it came back to me as you were talking. It just made me think that in this space that we share, it made me think about the fact that we have to, the reason why being authentic and being open about where we are is important, because everybody goes through the same thing. We just now all had these experiences where we came together and everybody was like, okay, I felt that too. Or so you're not alone. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. It's just about us going through it and learning and growing from it. But you can follow me or send me a friend request on Facebook at Nzinga Amazulu. That's spelled Amazulu. Hopefully my name is on here. I do motivational calls. You can send a text message to, you can send the word subscribe to 443-383-0636 to stay, you know, in the loop with everything that I'm doing. So that was it.
All right. Well, again, thank you guys for coming. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys down. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace. And before my audience leaves, I want to say thank you guys for the support. A lot of you guys really stuck it out with me, and I am super, super hyped about that. Lenski, I see you. Miss Ty, I saw Sis Tavoy, the Up Level Professional. I mean, I've seen so many people that I know, and I just want to tell you guys how grateful I am. I'm going to continue to have these conversations in this space. This is a safe space for us to have these conversations without being judged about our input. And then also, last but not least, you guys go check out Conversations with King. I think he starts at 7 p.m. tonight. And until next time. And also, I'm looking for some input. Should I just keep this as Hanifa Nayela, like live with Hanifa Nayela, or should I add something to it to like spruce it out? Because I feel like Hanifa Nayela is just, you know, just my name. So you guys let me know, hit me a message, put it in the comment section, whatever you need to do. Find me on Instagram at, let me put my Instagram, The Real Nayela, Hanifa Nayela is my Instagram name. Yeah, hit me up on Instagram or just here on YouTube on this channel. Just send me a quick message and I'll respond. But until next time, peace and thanks again for joining me. All righty.